to just reiterate again that you will be aware that the Speaker of the National Assembly arrived this morning from Bangladesh, where she was leading a multi-party delegation to the IPU session. So you will understand that when she arrives, there will be a lot of things that needs to be done before this. But so I hope that we will be forgiven for starting late. And thank you very much for coming. The Speaker of the National Assembly called this media briefing to brief the media and the nation with regard to the National Assembly's response to the requests that have been received and with regard to the latest developments in South Africa. So accompanying her is the Secretary of the National Assembly, Mr. Masibule Kaso, and I'm going to give to Ma'am to present the statement, and thereafter we will take questions of clarifications, should there be any. Unfortunately, we are not going to give you copies of the statement because we operate in an era of technology and we believe in creating paperless institutions. As soon as she's done presenting the statement, it will be emailed to all of you, and those who might not, for some reason, be on our press list, the statement will immediately appear on the Twitter account and other social media platforms of Parliament. It will appear on the website of Parliament and other relevant platforms. So you can be able to have a look at it while you are still here, maybe to make references as part of your line of questioning. Ma'am?
Should I use this? Should I use it?
Oh, she doesn't. You're fine. The live broadcasters. Okay.
Switch
Thanks.
that on. Is it morning or afternoon? Oh, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Earlier today, I arrived back to South Africa from Bangladesh, where I was leading a multi-party delegation of the South African Parliament to the Assembly of the International Parliamentary Union. Crucial as our role in this session was, I had to cut my participation in the light of the recent developments which have thrust the constitutional role of Parliament into the matter. These developments include the Speaker of the National Assembly being cited as a respondent in the matter between the official opposition and the President of the Republic at the Western Cape High Court, in which the official opposition sought to interdict the swearing-in of new members of the executive. The court was, amongst others, asked to compel Parliament to urgently schedule a motion of no confidence in the President. No finding was made against the Speaker in respect of the relief sought by the official opposition. On Thursday, the 30th March, the Office of the Speaker received a request from the Leader of the Opposition for a motion of no confidence in the President to be scheduled. The letter indicated that the motion be scheduled when Parliament reconvenes. Later on the same day, a similar request was received from the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters. The letter made a further request for the National Assembly to be convened for a special sitting in the week of the 3rd April to debate and vote on a similar motion. On Friday, the 31st March, my office received a further letter, again from the official opposition, requesting that the National Assembly resume its business earlier to process the motion. The procedure for processing a motion of no confidence, which is a right members of Parliament enjoy in line with the oversight function of Parliament, is stipulated in the rules of the National Assembly. Once such a request is submitted to the Speaker, the rules outline the following process. 1. Assessment of the request to ascertain if it is compliant with the appropriate rules. 2. Consultation with the Chief Whip of the majority party and the leader of government business, who is the Deputy President of the Republic. 3. Scheduling of the motion within a reasonable time given the program of the Assembly. The National Assembly members are currently undertaking their constituency responsibilities across the country and are scheduled to return to Parliament from the beginning of May. The consultation process prescribed by the rules is meant to deal with these issues. Given the seriousness inherent in the motions of no confidence, and their implications on the nation, I have therefore decided to cut my working trip to Bangladesh to ensure that these requests are given the appropriate consideration in terms of the Constitution and in terms of the clarification provided by the Constitutional Court in the Mazibuko versus Sisulu matter, as and when a motion of this magnitude is called and is in line with the rules. It must be scheduled and must receive priority. I will therefore, as of today, begin a process of consultation contemplated in the rules in the consideration of the request submitted. I envisage that the consultation should be concluded as soon as possible. Once the consultation process is concluded, my office will duly write to all the parties involved to advise them of the outcome. On the question of what procedure would be followed in an event a motion of no confidence is agreed to by the House, the Constitution clearly stipulates what happens should a motion of no confidence be carried in sections 86, 88, and 90. In conclusion, I must stress that I am alive to the extreme challenges and sense of anxiety our young democracy is going through at this moment. Our people are looking to Parliament to play its part and exercise its constitutional responsibilities. South Africans are expecting our institutions of democracy, such as Parliament, to demonstrate decisive leadership. This is a responsibility that Parliament, for its part, does not take lightly. I therefore assure South Africans that this legislative arm of the state must and will rise to the occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was the statement, and we will then take rounds of questions. Just indicate your name, and you'll be given a mic, a roaming mic. There are 2 of them from both sides. So we'll take the first 5 questions.
Can I start?
Okay. Yeah, you can go first.
Karen Morn from eNCA. Ma'am, given that you weren't in the top 6 meeting in which the cabinet reshuffle issue list was discussed, but given the disquiet which had been expressed by 3 officials who were there, if you had been presented with a list that, as the Secretary General said, seemed to come out of nowhere, what would your response to have been to this? And do you share the disquiet that has been expressed by Zweli Mkhize, Gwede Mantashe, and other officials? Thank you.
I think just before Ranjeni you come in, just to emphasize that the press conference is organized by Parliament, and is being addressed by the Speaker of the National Assembly. So we don't really want to conflate the issues of her responsibilities as a Speaker of the National Assembly with those of the political party and the leadership role that she comes from. I don't think that she will be shy to address those issues outside, but the platform is intended for Parliament processes and the Parliament's response to the issues. I'm sure you can have an opportunity outside of this to deal with the political aspect of it, but for now, let's confine ourselves to the parliamentary issues.
Thank you, Molota. I'm Ranjini Mansami from the Daily Maverick. Molota, I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to ask the question differently. I'm going to ask the Speaker if you were consulted in any form, whether in your capacity as Speaker or National Chairperson as one of the ANC officials on the reshuffle that happened this week, whether you were informed about the events of Monday and then again on Thursday, whether whether there were any calls made to you while you were in Bangladesh. And secondly, I'd like to find out that while you were away and since your arrival, has there been any consultation that you've had with the President or with other officials of the ANC? Thank you very much.
Marika from Mark from Jacaranda FM. Speaker, just to kind of on a technical point, say you decide not to convene earlier, that they only come back at the start of May. From what we understand, opposition parties have said that they will not, that they won't accept this. This is not how they want this to happen. They don't want to wait that long. So, say we get back and we see a certain level of disruption or people pushing for it. What are the steps that can be taken to ensure that things happen as they should? And then also, is there anything that they can do if you decide not to convene earlier, just on like the legalities of how it works? Thanks.
Let's come this side. Are you covered? Okay.
Crisalda Lewis from SABC Television. Well, I think we'll respect what you've just said, but I think we also got to respect the fact that Umama Mbete is also the chairperson of the ANC, so we'd love to get some clarification on some of these issues. Also, the issue of consultation. Mbete, have you spoken to anyone in the top six? And we would really like to get your sentiment with regard to what's happened in the country over the past couple of days.
That's what the third question. Let's go for the fourth at the back.
In fact, this is the fourth.
Oh, yeah. That will be the last one, yes. Thank
It's
you.
Natasha from the Business Day. In light of the criticism of Parliament in the past, that it had failed to hold President Jacob Zuma accountable after the Nkandla judgment, the Speaker is assuring the nation that this time she does understand the seriousness of this matter. How can you go further to assure the nation that this time around we will actually see the legislature playing its role, its oversight role on this issue? Thank you.
Okay, those were 5 questions. Let's give Ma'am an opportunity to go through them, and then we'll take another round if we still need clarification on some of the things.
Actually, I think 3 people raised the issue relating to the reshuffle. Where is the mic? You can still hear me, yeah. So clearly, the popular question relates to the reshuffle. I was there on Monday. Remember on Monday, we had a bilateral with the South African Communist Party the whole day. And the president actually did brief that meeting about, in particular, concerns relating to the Treasury and the Ministry of Finance, and the actual issues relating to the trip abroad and so on. So I was there when that briefing was first given by the president, and it was thorough. He shared with us not just, as I was hearing on radio now, coming here, the specific, what is it called? The specific report from intelligence relating to that actual visit, but some historic background. So that I appreciated. I mean, we were happy, all of us, that he took us into confidence. Of course, he didn't brief us about the rest of the package and intention of other people that he was thinking of. He was still in the process of looking at that particular issue. And I would like to end that one on the reshuffle simply by saying the fact that there have been differences that have been expressed or disquiet is not something for us to be surprised about, because we allow in the ANC people to differ and to express their differences, although we normally have it done such that it's not everybody having a free-for-all. It's not, every leader for themselves. We have always prevailed on our cadres that, in fact, what's expected is that the one with the specific responsibility to speak on behalf of the organization or a grouping should do that. But these are matters that tomorrow, when we meet as the constitutional bodies of the ANC, both the top six and the National Working Committee, we will deal with. And therefore the ANC would be able to speak in somewhat of a more organized voice when we come out of that exercise. The last I want to say is that, the one thing we have learned in the past is that our people always express disquiet and unhappiness about us differing in public. People have always said so to us, that they expect of us as leaders to deal with our issues and come back to them when we can give a message, that is to give South Africa out there the assurance that things are under control. And I hope that now that people have indeed expressed their unhappiness, they've differed in public, that we will now come back together and bring together our voice so we can address the public in a manner that will reassure them. On the issues relating to legalities, someone was talking about how are we going to assure people in terms of parliament that we are really going to seriously address the concerns and the requests that have been made. My answer is that we always do that. Well, Mr. Kaso is here. He's the Secretary to the National Assembly, who plays a key role in assisting for us to address the role of the National Assembly in ways that it comes up when we attend to our work in Parliament. And that, in fact, we would never, not do what is expected of us by the law, by the Constitution. The fact that we can't satisfy everybody all the time is a different matter. If any one of you read an article that was written by Muloto here next to me, responding to certain accusations, criticisms, and complaints, you will have noticed that, in fact, it's not just our parliament, it's parliaments all over the world that, where the speaker has a specific role. And it doesn't matter that people seem to expect that the speaker should jump into the political fray. The speaker doesn't, is not expected to. So when people complain, for instance, that no, but this minister is not answering the question the way I want them, it's not for the speaker to make them answer the question a particular way. The speaker is there to make sure that they answer. That they have not answered to your satisfaction is a totally different matter. So I'm trying to say that you may think that certain things have not been done according to legalities, but in fact the truth is we do our best according to the limits of the rules, the law, and the Constitution. And in this case, when we deal with the applications, with the requests that have come to us, we will do the same. I think I've covered the criticism, the legalities in the same answer. But Masbulele, should you need to add something, just go ahead.
Should disruptions and
Should we, or there
should
was
we
a
explain
question?
the disruptions?
Disruptions in terms of the rules.
I think the issue of disruptions, should we expect them, is a matter not depending on presiding officers. Disruption are a matter of how a particular MP or group of MPs decide is their strategy to engage in the parliamentary process. And in response to that, all we can do is to deal with that according to the rules. And in fact, to keep improving the rules so that we can improve, for instance, on the issue of the length of time it takes for us to deal with what is an obstacle in the process, for instance, of joint sittings that we have seen in the recent past.
Yeah, thank you, Secretary. Is there anything that you want to add? Okay.
Part of my question was not answered about whether the speaker has spoken to the president or any of the other officials
No.
since arriving.
Since arriving, I haven't spoken to anybody. I've just spoken to the people from my office.
Yeah. The speaker literally arrived an hour or so ago, so it's not been too long. And then can we take the second round? I see only 2 hands. Is there anyone in the at the back who we haven't given an opportunity? Okay, so we'll give you 2, and then you want the second bite, and then you also want a third bite.
All right, Clement Manyatela from Eyewitness News. Thank you so much, Speaker, for your time. I appreciate that you say our people, ANC members, perhaps don't like it when there are differences. But ANC members also didn't like it when, at some stage, the party also took collective responsibility. And I think the reason why we've seen sort of some ANC leaders in the top 6 have come out to state their positions, and all of them have, except you, is because the president, the decision that he had taken was not a collective decision. When you speak to the Treasurer General, his statement says they were deprived of the opportunity to advise him. So it was a unilateral decision, and I think that's why we want to hear from you. What is your position? Do you agree with the decision that the president has taken to axe the finance minister using that intelligence report that many in the top 6 are describing as dubious? My second question is on the impeachment. The EFF went to the Constitutional Court last week to put in an application for the Constitutional Court to force Parliament to take action against President Jacob Zuma. I just want to get your reaction on that. And do you think Parliament did everything it could to sort of hold the President to account, especially after that Constitutional Court judgment on eNCA? Thank you.
Speaker, I too am not entirely satisfied with the answer that you've given us relating to the cabinet reshuffle. Many of those who've spoken out have spoken about the retention, for example, of underperforming ministers, and letting go of how, for example, the now ex-finance minister Pravin Gordhan has been described as somebody who has been efficient. So we would want to hear from you what your take is, and were you at all surprised by the decisions that the President made? Because indeed, with the conversations that we've had over these past a couple of days, there does not seem to be consensus within the top 6 of the ANC on the manner in which the President went about reshuffling his cabinet.
Ma'am, it's Ranjini from Daily Maverick again. You spoke about the fact that you were at the meeting on Monday, and you said that the President referred to this intelligence report. And if I heard you correctly, you said you appreciated that. Are you saying that you appreciate the reasons for the firing of the finance minister based on that intelligence report, or the fact that he explained it? Can you just explain to us what you mean by saying that you appreciated that he spoke about this intelligence report, and you referred to other historical issues with regard to the finance minister? Can you tell us what those are? And secondly, this consultation process that you are embarking on with Deputy President Ramaphosa and the chief whips, can you give us an idea as to how long that is expected to take, and if you do call a session, how soon we can expect it? Thanks very much.
Okay, the last one.
Ma'am, the EFF has included a lot of correspondence between your office and itself in the court papers at the Constitutional Court, in which they repeatedly requested that Parliament take some form of disciplinary action against the President over the eNCA issue. Can you give us, and your office's correspondence indicates that you repeatedly refused that. Can you indicate what the thinking was in terms of that? And then, just how, again, echoing Ranjani's question, how soon will it be that we can see these motions of no confidence actually being ventilated in court? And is there not a concern that if Parliament isn't seen to take over that oversight role as demanded by the Constitution, people will lose faith in your ability to actually hold the executive appropriately to account?
Just to add on to it. I think Karen kind of touched on it. Speaker, you said earlier that you'll go and consult and then come back as soon as possible. Is there a limit, a time frame? How soon is soon, vaguely, to satisfy everyone and all parties here? I mean, can it take a month, for example, until they're open? Just ballpark.
Okay,
Sorry, one last thing. Will you allow a secret ballot in terms of a motion of no confidence? Thanks.
Speaker.
Okay. A secret ballot is not part of what we do. It's not provided for in the rules. So we simply just don't do secret ballot until one day maybe there's enough pressure from the MPs themselves, the rules be changed, then we will do that when the rules allow us to do that. But right now, we have no basis for secret ballot. Ranjani, on what I said, we appreciated. All of us were there, the 12 of us appreciated the fact that the President took us into confidence on a range of matters in the experience of his work with this particular minister and the treasury. So I was not talking about just the intelligence report. For the rest, really, I will only talk when I have been favored myself. having participated together with the leaders of the ANC, that would be in the constitutional structure that would meet tomorrow. Then I can have a basis on which I have a better, understanding of details and what has been going on, because I can't comment on things that happened in my absence. I tried to get eNCA while I was in Dakar. I really badly wanted to keep in touch with what was going on. At some point we had some Al Jazeera, but
eNCA is Africa.
I know. But when you are far from home, you really badly want, to get an African station.
How long will consultation take?
I'm in Lutuli House tomorrow. I sleep in Cape Town tomorrow night. Tuesday, I'm in the office. The consultation starts. I will, of course, have already taken advantage of whatever snippets of time with the DP, but that's something that happens better when I am in Parliament and we can consult. It takes definitely at least a few days. So I don't think consultation might take a month, no. But it also depends on where these people are. We're talking about people whose movements you can't control. But Tuesday, I will be in the office in Parliament, and I hope to be able to consult within the week. The last one. Correspondence. Correspondence. It does not matter how many times you write about an issue. When the issue is an issue that cannot happen because there's no basis for it to happen, you can write 100 letters. It does not help. I remember that.
These are your colleagues.
Yeah.
Chair.
But actually,
some who South Africans say were kicked out, yet they were performing ministers, and accusations that some who were non-performers are still stuck in that cabinet. Can we not have personal? These are your colleagues. So you personally, these are some of your colleagues, some that have been kicked out and some that have been retained. I know that you want to wait for official process and you want to speak with one voice as the ANC, but the cat is already out the bag. A lot of sentiment has already been shared by members of the top six. Take us into your confidence.
Yes, members of the top six have shared, have expressed themselves. I'm still to hear what was going on, including what happened that we ended up all speaking like that. And when I have a full appreciation of that, maybe I can comment.
Ma'am, do you disapprove of the way in which Cyril Ramaphosa and Gwede Mantashe and Zulian Kizi have spoken out? Because you said that people have indicated to you that you don't like it. They don't like it when the ANC doesn't speak with one voice. Do you think that they did something wrong in vocalizing their discontent with what has happened?
We have a way we do things. We have a way we have agreed to do things. We have a culture. We have meetings. We are brutally frank when we are in those meetings. But there are things we just don't do. But I will express myself in the ANC meeting.
Can we have the final round, and then let's try to give people that we have not given an opportunity to also ask questions. Mr. Manyatel. Yes, you can go first.
Thank you, Fifi from it's Fifi from CNBC Africa. Thanks, ma'am. Some of the questions that have come through from my media house are, how are you helping to dismantle the view of the public opinion that you are always protecting the president? Also, ma'am, are you worried about how opposition parties always have to use the courts to force Parliament into action? And lastly, in the event that a motion of no confidence vote does go through against the president, what are the processes that will follow after that?
I asked you to answer that question.
Yeah,
the Secretary of the National Assembly will deal with that last question.
Right,
and then, no, so we take two and then we close.
Yes.
Okay.
Chair, since I'm asking a question, Chair, okay, you were not in the meeting. You're still going to get feedback on what happened. You have to understand why members of the top 6 are responding the way they are to the decision by the president. Can you take us into the ANC's processes then? When the president is about to reshuffle his cabinet, does he consult and get advice from the ANC top 6? Is he supposed to do that? Or does he go and inform the ANC top 6? Is it supposed to be a consultation where he receives advice from the top 6? Or can he just go and inform them and say, this is what I'm going to do? Thank you.
Karin, I thought we said.
Also, my question
I thought we said we are taking the last, and then I said going once, going twice.
No, I'm just
and then you didn't raise your hand.
My question wasn't answered, so I'm just trying to ask.
Okay,
again.
let's take the last two then.
I had asked whether the president had informed you as an official. You were absent, but did he call you when you were abroad to tell you about the reshuffle? And secondly, with regard to the meeting on Monday that you were at, when this intelligence report was discussed, did you accept what he said about that intelligence report? So I understand what you just explained, that you don't approve of the officials speaking out frankly, but in terms of that intelligence report, do you believe that that was a valid reason for removing the finance minister?
Karin is covered.
Yeah, I'm just following on from her. I mean, the intelligence report has been described as fake. And if it is true and you accept it, essentially it suggests that the finance minister, former finance minister, and the deputy minister are guilty of treason. So would you then believe that they should be criminally charged? Because if you do accept that report, that is the implications of that report.
Can I start with this issue which comes back again and again? We did not discuss an intelligence report. The president talked about it, right? We did not see it, we did not discuss it. So there was no question of agreeing or not agreeing on it, or approving or not approving of it. It was part of a package of issues that the president touched on as a background. And I'm saying we appreciated the fact that he took us into confidence as a head of state who deals with a range of issues that are very, very complex, many of which no head of state ever, discusses with anybody. So it's not about an intelligence report that was approved or not approved. I'm saying he briefed us broadly. I want to... The ANC no, there's no ANC process that requires the president to come and have a conference with all of us about reshuffles. No, we don't do that. but he always comes to the officials. He always comes to the officials, but it's not like there's a rule, you know, there's something that obliges him without fail to come and, you know, have a big discussion about his thinking, even with the NEC, even with the NWC. But he always comes to the officials.
And in previous circumstances, did he take advice from the top six, or did he just...
Oh yeah, he did.
So did he inform you on Thursday?
On Thursday, wait, when did he announce this?
Thursday night.
He announced Thursday night.
Midnight. 13 minutes past 12 was the statement.
The president called me
Still remember the time.
because he does call when, you know, you're not around. Like, for instance, one time I was in Italy and I got a call saying, I don't want you to be surprised, I'm about to make an announcement, and so on. So Thursday, I got a call as he was leaving Cape Town, coming to Johannesburg, about what was going to be announced, but not the detail.
Constitution. Follow the Constitution, the process.
Mhm.
The mic.
What would be of great interest to me is if members of the media one day would go into further detail about this protection of the president. How exactly does it manifest? Because if it was President de Klerk, for that matter, I would play my role the same way I am playing it, by the rules. It does not matter who the president is. I play the role expected of the presiding officer when the president is in the House dealing with the issues of which he is expected to deal, and when he has been invited to come to the House. So, you know, this is an accusation that has been thrown to a point where, indeed, I'm very interested that members of the media just explain to me where and how do they see this protection when what happens or when what does not happen. What is this protection? Because the fact that it's been said 100 times is neither here nor there. The issue is the what. What, in fact, are we talking about? One journalist asked me an interesting question. She said, are you friends with President Zuma? I said, President Zuma is my comrade, he's my leader. Have you been to Nkandla? I say, I went to Nkandla once in 2008, after we had been elected in December 2007. I needed to go and have a long meeting with him about my work, and I went to Nkandla. That was the first and last. I've never been to Nkandla. So as a friend, maybe I would have gone there more regularly. So I think that question was about trying to see the level of closeness and therefore the motivation for this so-called protection. But I think let's go back to the protection. What is this protection? Somebody must just define it. And say, one day someone wanted to hit him and I jumped and I went and protected him with my body. Or what are we talking about? Please, I'll pendule lento.
The process.
Yeah, process. Yes. If should the vote of motion of no confidence win, what then happens?
In the event that a motion of no confidence is agreed to, the Constitution in section 102.2 says that the President and the rest of the cabinet must resign. And in section 86, the Constitution provides that when there's a vacancy in the office of the President, the Chief Justice must set the date and time for the election of a new president, and that must happen within 30 days.
Okay. Thank you very much, colleague, for coming, and thank you for your patience waiting for us. We apologize again for the late start. And thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Secretary of the National Assembly. The press conference is closed.
Thank you. No, it's fine. Yo. Kwathi le kofi yami. Ayithathe. Sizayiphula. Singayiyeka.